character of the Predator was based off of some kind of African tribe or whatever. All right, now notice he has dreadlocks to begin with already. He has dreadlocks, which is interesting. But aside from that, the Predator, he uses a spear, all kinds of like tribal gear, things like that. He's like an intergalactic African warrior, the Predator. And on top of that, he's played by a black dude. That's interesting. I never knew that when I was a kid watching it, but this is essentially an intergalactic African. The Predator. That's a trip. And think about this. The Predator, he talks with clicks. You know how he makes that clicking noise? Just like certain African dialects. That's interesting, isn't it? It's based off of black people. Intergalactic black people, the black gods that are set to return. Alright, that's a trip, isn't it?
The Kalahari Desert, South Africa. Here, the native San Bushmen hold elaborate fireside rituals lasting for hours into the night. During these ceremonies, their shamans perform what's known as a trance dance, through which they reach an altered state of being and access other dimensions.
The trance dance is thought to activate an energy in their body called Noom. And this energy opens a portal of sorts that enables them to travel into the spirit world. And when the Bushmen activate this energy, they're able to put their hands in the fire without being burned. They can see vast distances, and it's as if in every way, shape, and form, they're transformed into super powerful beings.
By accessing the power of Noom energy, it is believed that a shaman who can extract illness, see the insides of the sick, and travel out of their own body to the land of the gods.
This number goes up the body, and then often it goes out of the crown of the head, and that's usually when the out-of-body experience occurs, and they travel to the spirit world. I've seen a bushman put a coal in his mouth and he wasn't burnt. They'll put their heads in the fire, and although their hair might singe and even catch fire, their face won't be burnt. So something is happening with this Num energy. They call it boiling energy. It's almost like there's a vibrational change in their whole body and probably in their DNA in some way.
Could the so-called Noom energy really be inherent in shamans, accessed only while in a sort of dream state? And is it possible that the genetic makeup of these medicine men is what allows them to access other dimensions?
The San Bush people have a tradition that they are the first tribe ever created. They're the oldest people in the world. DNA tests have shown that they probably are, that all other cultures and all other peoples that spread throughout the world came originally from where the San people are now.
When we look at the San Bushmen and we see the clear genetic evidence that they are the primordial seed of human civilization and life on Earth, it is possible that their DNA is especially well equipped to have this potential to access these non-ordinary states of consciousness, which may in fact be a key to physically journeying into them, giving these people the ability to do things that most of us seemingly cannot.
This was in Alien vs. Predator, right? Check this out.
Hieroglyphs are a little difficult to make out, but the story is all here. Thousands of years ago, these hunters found a backwater planet. They taught humans how to build and were worshipped as gods.
Look at that, they got the pyramids there. They're saying they're worshipped as gods, they taught humans. This is like the Nephilim. They're telling you everything right here. This is why people make the joke, we was kings. Unfortunately, that's their only argument against their own historians and scholars, their own white historians, scholars, scientists, and occultists, who all say that Black people were the original people, the black gods of Kemet, Nubia, Kush, Ethiopia.
Every 100 years, the gods would return.
Look at that.
And when they did, they would expect a sacrifice. Humans were used to breed the ultimate.
Alright, so it shows you right there, telling you right there how these black gods came to Earth, the aliens. Check that out. Predator, man, look at, he has the spear right there. The spear, the way they're dressed, they're hunters. Intergalactic Africans. Now, I also heard Bobby haven't mentioned how the alien, you know, from Aliens vs. Predator, the alien was symbolic of the black woman, which I thought was interesting. I never heard that before, and I couldn't really put that together. But I actually found an article talking about that, right? Trip out on this, right? There's an article about that. First, let's do the Predator. The black man as Predator. All right, check this out. Black men and boys are imagined as dangerous, threatening, inherently criminal, and superhuman. Bigger, faster, stronger, and less likely to feel pain. These views have roots in chattel slavery. Canada is not innocent in the reproduction of this trope. Inspired by Southern secessionists, Canada's first Prime Minister, John A. Macdonald, claimed the death penalty would deter black men from assaulting white women. Also think about how this relates to the whole King Kong and that symbology. Scholars David Austin and Greg Thomas both demonstrate that in the 1960s and 70s, the RCMP and the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigations were obsessed with black men's sexual prowess. Alright, think about that. The Predator, look at, he has the dreadlocks, super strong. He's taller than humans. Speaks with clicks, the African dialect. He has the spear. He's a hunter. Think about that. The black man as Predator, and that's why it's called Predator. Think about that. All right, that's a trip, isn't it? Now look at this. This is gonna trip you out. Black woman as an alien, and we're talking about the aliens from the movie, right? Black women have been portrayed in contemporary white social and political culture as super fertile and indestructible breeders whose sexual reproduction must be controlled. Think about Planned Parenthood and the eugenics program. This is a shift from the slave breeding campaign that emerged across the Americas after Britain's abolition of the slave trade in 1807 and slavery in 1834. This shift is in public policy, and white attitudes toward black women's sexual reproduction is evident in the U.S., especially with the 1965 Moynihan Report and 1970 Moynihan Memorandum. As part of the Republican Party's Southern strategy, Richard Nixon set in motion the myth of the Black welfare queen. The Black Queen. Think about the aliens and the Queen. This myth was later adopted by the Democrats. Alright? Biden is not your homie. It is now so fundamental a mythology in the white imagination that hardly any amount of contrary evidence can dislodge it. Remember, white America has already fallen to mind control. They've already been conquered. Enduring narratives about black family pathology, particularly that of the overbearing and single black mother, have led to damaging representations of black women. Alright? Ridley Scott's Alien franchise, with its vicious and endlessly breeding carbon black alien mother, came at the height of the neoliberal experiment, and in the US especially, an all-out assault on black people. In the context of anti-black culture, the film signifies the black woman as an unkillable and ceaselessly breeding alien who threatened the body politic. In terms set by historian Lothrop Stoddard's white supremacist 1920 book, The Rising Tide of Color, a black woman's sexual reproduction is imagined to signal the genetic extinction of the white republic. Alright, that's interesting. That's very interesting. The black woman and the black man. So Alien versus Predator is the black man versus the black woman. That's interesting, isn't it?
In 1994, Clark wrote a letter to the Harvard Crimson in her capacity as the president of the Black Studies Association. Clark wanted to explain her views on race science. Quote, "Please use the following theories and observations to assist you in your search for truth regarding the genetic differences between blacks and whites." End quotes. You know it's going to be interesting, and it was. Quote, One, Dr. Richard King reveals that the core of the human brain is the locus coeruleus, which is a structure that is black because it contains large amounts of neuromelanin, which is essential for its operation. Two, black infants sit, crawl, and walk sooner than whites. Three, Carol Barnes notes that human mental processes are controlled by melanin, that same chemical which gives blacks their superior physical and mental abilities. Four, some scientists have revealed that most whites are unable to produce melanin because their pineal glands are often calcified or non-functioning. Pineal calcification rates with Africans are 5 to 15%, Asians 15 to 25%, and Europeans 60 to 80%. This is the chemical basis for the cultural differences between blacks and whites. And 5, melanin endows blacks with greater mental, physical, and spiritual abilities, something which cannot be measured based on Eurocentric standards. End quote. Let that sink in. Melanin endows black people with greater mental, physical, and spiritual abilities.
Bro, that blew my mind reading that. All right, now let's look at another one, Marvin the Martian. Look, it's called, I think it was on one of the Bomb Heaven videos that I seen this, somebody had mentioned this. Marvin the Martian, look at his colors, red, black, and green. Interesting, like the Pan-African colors, African colors. That's interesting, and he's an alien, he's a Martian. Marvin the Martian, and he's black. Look at that, literally a black alien. And he has the colors red, black, and green. That's a trip, isn't it? All right. Oh, and here's a good one, right? You guys remember the movie Mars Attacks? The old school movie Mars Attacks. You guys remember that movie, right? Let me find it. All right. With the aliens, right, from Mars, they come over and they attack. Look at their flag. Look at the flag they have. Remember that movie? This was their flag. A pyramid with the Eye of Heru, all-seeing eye. And look at the colors, red, black, and green, once again. Interesting, isn't it? Bro, that's a trip. Mars Attacks, go look at that movie. And also, Bobby Hemmitt mentioned, which blew my mind, right? In the movie, remember Jim Brown? Bruh, the black dude in the movie was dressed as a pharaoh. Oh my freaking God, look at that. Jim Brown. I believe he's a football player, correct? And Mars Attacks, when these aliens take over, Jim Brown was dressed as a pharaoh. I think he survives too, doesn't he? I don't remember. But look at, he's dressed as a pharaoh. And the flag of the Martians is a pyramid. You think that's a coincidence? Look at that. This is from the movie Mars Attacks. Some of you guys are old enough to remember that movie. I was a kid when that came out. Bruh, that's insane. They're showing you right there. That's a trip, isn't it? Now with Predator, alright, remember he was played by a black dude. They're telling you something right there. Predator was played by a black man. The same way Jar Jar Binks was played by a black man. Think about that. Jar Jar Binks was played by a black dude because he was symbolic of black people. He was a caricature. And he got a lot of backlash for that movie. Remember, Jar Jar Binks comes from underwater, Atlantis, a sunken city. Now, who else is played by a black man? Darth Vader. And what does he say to Luke? Luke, I am your father. I am your predecessor. Think about that. The forefathers, the progenitors of human civilization. There's a reason why all these characters were played by black people. Think about that, man. That's a trip, isn't it? That's wild, man. They're trying to tell you something right there. That's wild. Alright, now trip out on this, right? In the Predator movie, how does Arnold Schwarzenegger finally stop the Predator? You remember? You remember. He has to put the mud all over him. He turns black, like melanin. Oh my God. Isn't that crazy? Bruh, that blew my mind when I heard that. This is why you need to go watch these master teachers in these videos while you still can. He had to put the mud all over him so the Predator couldn't detect his heat source or whatever. He had to become black. Melanin. Bruh, that's insane. That's the only way he could defeat the Predator. Alright? Now, there's a newer movie that came out with Tom Holland. Alright? It's called chaos walking. Remember, chaos is symbolic of melanin. All right. Remember in Prometheus with the black goo, that was all chaotic and ended up destroying everything. The engineers, that's a whole nother story. Chaos walking. And in that movie, the aliens are black. They're tall and black. And it's very interesting because that movie has a lot of symbolism with the people on the island there, or on that planet. The planet looks like Saturn, by the way, which is interesting, right? And in that movie, the colony of people there, they've been lied to by the mayor. Sorry, if I'm spoiling the movie for you. But in that movie, the colony of people over there, right? They've been lied to by their leader. And he tells them that these aliens wiped out all the women. But in reality, it was the men who did it. And it's almost like similar to modern day book burning. All the books are destroyed. The kid, Tom Holland, doesn't know how to read. And so the mayor manipulates all of them and lies to them and says that these are the enemies. And so Tom Holland has this anger towards these aliens, right? And part of this, in one part of the movie, the girl, I don't know what her name is, Daisy Scott or Daisy Ridley, the girl who played, who was in Star Wars, right? She's the other main character. Her and Tom Holland are talking, right? And she says, she cracks him and she goes, we're the aliens. They're native to this planet. That's interesting, isn't it? She says, we're the aliens, not them. But it's just a trip, man. That movie has a lot of symbolism. But yeah, look at that. It's a tall black alien. Chaos walking. It that blew me away. We are the aliens. The Nephilim. Alright, remember this movie? The Watch? This was a funny movie. I love this movie. It was about aliens. Alright? Now, I think the aliens even look kind of black in this movie, but that's not what I'm getting at. Remember who the alien was in this group of friends? Who turns out to be the alien? He's a good guy still, and he helps them out. But who turns out to be the alien? The black guy. The black British dude. Think about that. That's a trip, isn't it? Turns out to be the black guy. He was the alien. Now think about this. In this movie, what was the alien's weakness? It was shooting them in the dick. Think about that. This goes back to the idea of black men and sexuality. They had to shoot their dicks. That was their weakness. This also relates to the mythology of Osiris and losing his penis. Think about that. That relates to Osiris losing his penis. And the idea of sexuality, castration, and emasculation. He turned out to be the alien. That's a trip, dude. Come on now. That's a trip. Also in the movie The Sitter, not The Sitter, my bad. The movie This Is the End with Jonah Hill, right? Where's the apocalypse? In the very end of the movie, there's that huge demon that's walking around. He's like the final demon boss, right before Seth Rogen and Jay go up to heaven. And the demon has a huge penis. And it's supposed to be like funny and comical, but I think that's symbolic of Osiris, that huge demon, the king or the god of the underworld, right? And what happens at the very end of that movie? Seth Rogen and Jay get shot up to heaven, but as they go up, it cuts off the demon's penis. Think about that. Think about that. Come on now. Osiris. That's a trip, isn't it? That's wild, man. They're telling you the truth. I was watching American Dad, and I thought about this. Kind of relates to it as well. Remember the episode with American Dad with The Weeknd, who was symbolic in many different ways of many different things from Ethiopia? In that episode, Roger takes the identity of The Weeknd. Roger the alien. Bruh, that's a trip. I think the episode was called When a Star Boy is Born. That's wild. It shows Roger playing the role of this superstar black artist, The Weeknd, from Ethiopia. Come on now. That's a lot of symbolism right there with ancient cultures and civilization. That's wild, man. I'm telling you, man, we are the aliens, the Nephilim, the original people. You know what I'm saying? That's a trip, man. The pharaohs, the goddesses. You know what I'm saying? Now, also, this goes into the idea of the Titans and stuff, but I'll get to that in a second. There was another movie, right? I seen when I was very young. It was called The Arrival, and I'm sure not a lot of you guys have seen this, but it's from like 1990s or whatever, right? But this is way before I got into conspiracies or knowledge of self. I was a little kid when I seen this, right? And at the end of this movie that was about aliens called The Arrival of Aliens, at the very end of the movie, this little black kid who was part of the movie, right? He was just a regular guy throughout the whole movie, regular kid. At the very end of the movie, all of a sudden, it shows him and his legs turn backwards and he runs off, revealing that he was an alien. That blew me away. Bobby Hemmett mentioned that in his lecture, and it blew me away because I knew what movie he was talking about, and I had seen it as a kid. And it was just that spirit and synchronicity. That I happened to see that when I was a child, man. Before I even got into any of this knowledge, and now here it comes back again into my life. This is insane, man. This little black kid was an alien in that movie. Bruh, I'm telling you, that tripped me out when I heard him say that. That's spirit. That's insane. Look at that. That's an old school movie, man. The Arrival from 1996. Bruh, look it up if you want to. I'm telling you, man. That's insane. All right, now, this whole idea of aliens goes back to like the Titans and the idea of us being Titans and the Nephilim, right? Also, I want to shout out somebody who commented on one of my videos. His name was Big Body. Shout out to you, man. I'm gonna read his comment because it didn't get shown on that page, right? Because he was replying to somebody who was pissed off about my Attack on Titans video. The guy was mad because his favorite anime got ruined. And so Big Body was replying to it, right? And he had some very interesting stuff, right? And this is about Attack on Titan, right? And black people. It's literally an allegory for black people, a fallen people who are segregated and treated badly by an entire different race. Eldians who are very powerful, which, like it or not, black people can achieve things other races can't, at least used to. If we were the way we were before slavery, etc., we would be a lot better than we are. But vaccines, the food we eat, the music we listen to, the air we breathe, then the lack of sun, which we strive from, limits us greatly. Not only black people, but everyone. He's dropping a lot of knowledge right here, man. When the aliens transform, a bolt of yellow lightning blasts them from the sky, and they transform. Bruh, I didn't even know that. That's insane. Not to mention, in the anime, they say Titans absorb solar energy in Titan form. Oh, come on, think of that. It's an allegory of how, if melanated people became our pure selves, the sun would fuel us. Also, melanin is also believed and has been proven to conduct electricity on a small scale, since it literally absorbs the sun. Bruh. Melanin isn't made to block out sun, it's made of a way to conduct solar energy into nutrition. If it were made to block out the sun, then our skin wouldn't get darker. Bruh. Shout out to Big Body. Shout out to you, bruh. This is powerful right here. This is powerful. He's breaking it down. It's all right there, right? Clear, man. Clear as day, man. Melanin and the sun. All right, we are the Nephilim. We are the Titans, the aliens, the original people who came here. Think about that, man. Think about that. Now, remember the movie Immortals? I was just watching this the other day and it blew me away. Remember the movie Immortals? Remember, Greek mythology is about us, right? And the Titans and Olympus. Remember in the very beginning of the movie? Yeah, that's right. It shows that cube. It shows a black cube of Saturn, right? And it pans around and it shows that these guys are inside of it. And look at, they have the brittle in their mouths like slaves. What color are they? They're black. These are black people. These are the Titans. These are the Titans. Bruh, that's insane, isn't it? These are literally Titans from the movie Immortals. Bruh, it's freaking crazy, isn't it? Look at that. They're black people. We are the Titans. Attack on Titan. We are the aliens. The Predator. Bro, that's insane, dude. We are literally the aliens, man.